Hello, Monsters of Bounty, and welcome to a look at Sins of a Solar Empire 2. Now, if you've played Sins of a Solar Empire 1, then this will look very familiar to you. It's basically Sins of a Solar Empire 1 with all the bells and whistles, so you can think of things like star bases, sub-factions, all that kind of good stuff, in a much shinier package. Lovely. If you've not played Sins of a Solar Empire 1, or Sins of a Solar Empire, then you're in for a treat, especially if you like big spaceship battles, because this game is flipping great. It is a 4X RTS, so it is an RTS, but it's quite slow. It'll take a few hours to play a match. And this is a replay of a match, because there's no campaign in Sins of a Solar Empire 2, that I played the other day. So we're watching what I did previously, because I thought, lets me kind of look at the pretty things without needing to control stuff. Lovely. So here is the map I'm playing on. There's various different maps available, different amounts of players, all that kind of good stuff. I am playing with 3 teams of 2, and there are 3 factions and 2 sub-factions. So basically we've got all 6 sub-factions available in the game in this match. So the 3 factions are the Vasari, who I'm playing as here. I'm playing as the green faction, and these guys are basically like aliens. They had a big old empire, and then the center of the empire went dark. They sent their fleet in to go and have a look and find out what was going on. One ship returned, badly damaged, and the crew had gone certifiably insane. So rather sensibly, the Vasari decided to just get in a bunch of ships and flee in the opposite direction. Whatever destroyed their empire is still after them, and it's gaining. So what they've been doing is just smashing into other empires they come across, taking all their stuff, and then just continuing to run. This was going fine until they ran into the humans. Now, at first, things went to plan. They smashed into human space. The humans were not prepared. The humans got wrecked. Unfortunately for them, the humans got their act together and created the tech, who are effectively super space capitalists. Look at these ships. Does that not look amazing? Oh, it looks so good. Look at the little turrets. Oh, love it. Love it. So good. And they created the tech, and they managed to hold the Vasari at bay, something that had never happened before. This really fucked the Vasari up because they didn't know what to do. They were stuck. They knew someone was coming from behind them. They couldn't get through the tech. They were screwed. But then they had a stroke of luck, because a surprise 3-way. You never want a surprise 3-way, do you? You want a 3-way that has been discussed and has been signed on paper. You don't want a surprise 3-way as the worst way. Anyway, so a few centuries previous, the tech had come across a desert planet filled with some groovy guys, and these groovy guys, the Advent, these guys here, had they'd just been doing their own thing. They hadn't really been too worried about that, and the humans went down. Well, they're both humans, but the capitalist humans went down and went, well, shall we try and sell you insurance? And the Advent went, no, we don't really need it, thank you. And the capitalist humans were like, well, that's what? We can't make money from that. What are they doing down there? So they had a look, and there was a lot of, I don't know, probably free love and drugs and probably socialist healthcare, and that freaked them out. So the previous tech, I can't remember what the tech was called before they were tech, but the previous tech decided that they had to get rid of these guys before this socialist healthcare caught on, so they exiled them to deep space. Now, never do that. Never. If you come across some psychic humans, hippie humans on a planet, and they're just having a chill time, leave them alone. Don't exile them into deep space. They will come back with psychic powers. That's exactly what happened. So now the Advent have got psychic powers and really, really sleek chrome ships. It's kind of almost 60s retro-ish kind of look. It's very good. Anyway, so now they're in a 3-way, and all the factions are now duking it out amongst each other. So the way you play this game is it's based around these gravity wells. So each little planet or asteroid is colonizable, depending if you have the technology, of course. So for example, humans can colonize Terran worlds, Terran planets, immediately, but if they want to colonize desert planets or gas giants, then they're going to need to research tech there. There's a tech tree for the Vasari. So you got things like volcanic occupation, primordial occupation, that kind of thing. Different types of planets give different amounts of resources. So for example, we can have a look at my homeworld here, the Pharos planet. We can see we're getting a metal income of 11.1 a second and a crystal income of 2.0 a second. There's also asteroids in the gravity worlds, which you can construct mines on, and you will also be building things like factories and fleet beacons to construct your little ships and your big ships. The amount of structures you can build in a gravity well is determined by the civilian and military cap. You can upgrade this. Different types of planets have more or less, and there's also upgrades you can do to planets. So you can upgrade the planet slot and potentially give it more economy, more support, more defense, all that kind of stuff. You can also build defenses. These include cannons, hangar bays, shields, all that kind of good stuff. You can also build giant star bases, which act as a massive deterrent to attack, but are defeated. They can be overcome, but if you've got a fleet and a battle station there, that's going to be a tough nut to crack. So that's basically the game. If a planet is already occupied by an enemy faction, then you have to bombard that planet with your capital ships and also specific ships that are designed to bombard planets. Once the planet health has been reduced, as you can see, the planet has 3,150 health. Once you've managed to bring that down to 0, you can then colonize it yourself. Bob's your uncle. Any previous constructions are destroyed, and that planet's now yours. The way you win the match is by destroying a faction's homeworld. So, for example, this planet here is their homeworld. If I took that out, they're effectively out of the game. They're not completely destroyed, but it will reduce their effectiveness, and effectively means I can destroy all their homeworlds. Then I've won the game, regardless of whether they've got stuff left. And that's their homeworld down there as well. So you can build fleets, which is quite nice. Where's my fleet? Oh, there it is. So nope, that's my defenses. Where is my fleet? Oh, there it is. There's my fleet. There's my fleet hanging around. Yes, so there's two types of ships. You've got sort of your corvettes, cruisers type thing, this type thing there. These are your chaff. They're little boys. They are there to screen your big capital ships like this boy here. This is an evacuator. And then we've got the Cortol Devastator. There are kind of equivalents between the factions. So this is basically a battle cruiser, and every faction will have their own variant of battle cruiser. Although the amount of weapons and armor and shields and their abilities as well, because these big capital ships can level up and get different abilities, and each faction will have different abilities. And also things like, for example, the Advent tend to have more fighters and bombers on their capital ships, whereas the Vasari tend to have less, but there will be some. You can get dedicated carriers, so if that's your thing, yes, you can go full carrier and go absolutely insane that way. That's always quite fun. To be honest, you probably want to go with the Advent. They tend to have more carriers, more fighters and bombers and all that kind of good stuff. It seems like the Vasari don't bother with fighters. They just seem to have bombers. So you need to kind of screen your Vasari fleets with ships that provide you with point defense. Which are... do we have any there? The Sulsurak Defensor, I think. I don't know what that looks like. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? No. It's one of these. It's not that one. Oh, is it this one? Ah, there we go. So this guy here, if we hover over him, you can see down in the bottom right there that he's got 2 light pulse guns and 2 point defense pulse guns. So obviously that will target fighters and missiles. And considering I'm fighting the Advent, I should have a lot more of these. Never mind. I've also got my own dedicated carrier here. Now, they've only got 6 bombers at the moment, but as they level up, they do get more. All of these ships look friggin' amazing. I do love the Vasari ships particularly, though. They just look so menacing. I love it. It's great. Good. So that's basically your ships. There are other ones as well. You can get Titans. So you can build 1 Titan for your faction, basically. If the Titan gets destroyed, you can rebuild it, but you can only have 1 at a time. They are much, much bigger. I would say they're like 10 times as big as a capital ship. Like, they're just enormous. We will see one later. So I'm currently just zipping around securing planets. My ally is doing the same. Looks like they're having a little bit of a duke out with the human faction down here. So this is a little coal battleship. I'm not sure what this ability around them is. But whatever that is, good luck to them. They're currently fighting an evacuator. Now, this evacuator is actually down to crippled hull points. So, capital ships, space defense stations, and also the Titans effectively have 4 health bars. They've got shields, they've got armor, they've got hull points, and they've got crippled hull points. When a ship is crippled, it can no longer attack, but that's kind of your... That's basically the time to get the fuck out of Dodge, right? As this guy is doing. He's leaving. He's been hammered. He's going to leave. This guy here, though, he's still got plenty of armor points and hull points, so he'll be fine fighting for a little while. Capital ships can deal with quite a few of the little cruisers and corvettes. They're not really a danger to them unless they're like in mass numbers. You really do need capital ships to take out capital ships. So we're zipping around. We are grabbing this planet over here, which is Novilis. Now, you can build dedicated colony ships, but the evacuator, which you kind of start with, has the colonizability. So we're going to pop in here and just grab Novalis and secure that one. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make a jump all the way to Hypatia, which is in enemy space. And at that point, we're then hopefully going to engage their home cluster. Now, something really, really cool about this map is that the planets are not stationary. They move. And in fact, you can see where they're going to go using the Future Orbits button. If we click this, we will see, oh, look, that's where the planet's going to go. You may notice that my sort of little home cluster and the enemy home cluster are starting to move together. What does that mean? Well, it means that in about, this is about an hour's worth of game time. In about 2 hours, I want to say, yeah, our home clusters are going to be merged. That's going to put the cat amongst the pigeons, isn't it? Yeah, fun times. You can also see one of my asteroids here is just zipping off. And one of my ice worlds is zipping off, just like booking it and going all the way over there. So yeah, your planets will move around. You have to keep a track of that. It can be a little bit tricky, actually. You know, I knew that my planets were going to move, but when you're concentrating on a particular fight, or you know, you're dealing with problems, and then you look back and realize that one of your planets has wandered off, that can be quite stressful. But interesting, because it really does mean that within 2 hours of gameplay, someone's going to die. Because once your clusters are merged, it's just a knife fight at that point, which is kind of great. I kind of love that. Really, really, really cool. Oh, there's also minor factions as well. So there's minor factions down here. You can spend diplomacy. No, you can spend influence, whatever this is. Yeah, influence points. So you can research influence points and you can spend that on increasing your support with the little minor factions. And you can spend this on various different things. So for example, unassailable fortress, you could buy that. That provides you with a structure that you can put on a planet, which increases its health and obviously gives it extra military orbit slots as well, which is quite potent. Another 5,000 health is going to make that planet a tough nut to crack. So if you've got a particular fortress world, then you might want to put that on there, sort of make it a real linchpin of your defense, assuming that linchpin doesn't, you know, wander off while you're not looking. So we are prepped to invade enemy space. And we're going to be jumping in. They do have a big fleet themselves. I cannot see this fleet at the moment, but there is an Advent fleet hanging around, along with a Rapture battle cruiser and a bunch of these Tempest vessels. These guys tend to pack a shit ton of rockets. So all of these guys will fire 2 missiles each. That's a lot of missiles. That's I do not have enough point defense to deal with that, along with all of the fighters and bombers that they tend to bring. So we're just moving into position, and then we will be jumping. And it is always very cool when your fleet is prepping. Oh, it's so good. This is my kink. Boom, 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 and they're off. Zipping down that line. How exciting. Now, unfortunately for me, what I haven't noticed is there's a big enemy fleet currently heading in this direction, and this was a bit of a surprise. So they're actually going to be heading in the opposite direction. I'm going to be heading in this direction. They're going to be heading in this direction, and we're going to cross each other halfway. At which point I decide to turn around and come back at them because I don't want to lose my planet. So they've got this little drone host, and this has 24 fighters. That's insane. 24 fighters, Jeremy. That's insane. So they're zipping up there, and we're just gonna pass each other. At which point I turn around and decide to come back and try and save my planet. So we've raced back to deal with this little advent incursion, which I was not ready for. I should have built some defences here. I didn't. That's on me. I'm going to hold my hands up. Now, they've got their own capital ship, but I outnumber their capital ship 3-1. So we're going to take this bad boy out. I will say, I love the noise the advent ships make. That, like, pew-pew noise is, I don't know, for some reason, it makes the juices in my brain happy. But I also love the little flickers of shots, like the shields dissipating the shots. That's really good. The advent tend to have a lot of shields, but bugger all armor points and not many hull points. So you can see we're absolutely pummeling that ship, but we are losing a lot of our little ships, our little boys, to ground through his shield points and his armor points, and now his hull points are dropping rapidly. All very nice. And he's now on his crippled hull point, so he can't return fire anymore. And he should decide to make a run for it. There we go, he's making a run for it. But he's continuing to get absolutely pummeled. Will he get away? The answer is no. He is gonna die. When a capital ship explodes, it does leave debris behind, which you can then harvest for some resources, which is very nice. Now we've managed to deal with the capital ship, but we've still got their little ships to finish off. I must say, I do like the silver and red. That's very evocative, isn't it? But we'll make short work of them. Unfortunately, that's not all they're sending. They've also got this, what's it, progenitor mothership? I don't know what this thing is. Oh, it's their colonizer ship. Okay. So this is their colonizer. This is like their evacuator. Looks like a big old boomerang. So they're sending more ships in to die. Now at this point I really should have been producing additional cruisers to fill my losses, but I was not, and as you can see, quite a lot of my fleet has been brutally killed. You can actually upgrade. You can increase. You can basically order ships. You can put ships into a fleet, and then you can order ships into that fleet like this. You can see I've queued up 5 defensers and 5 raiders, so they will be constructed at the nearest shipyard. They'll spread themselves out on the shipyards, and then they'll make their way towards the fleet. It's very useful because in big maps you don't want to have to, you know, zip around each planet and try and order ships from each one and then merge them into fleets. You could just do it from the fleet, which really, really useful. That progenitor is getting its head kicked in. I would have probably decided to run. I said this is a medium AI. It's not that bright. Still enough to give me a run for my money, though. And that's 2 capital ships down. At this point, I was feeling pretty good about myself. Managed to deal with that little incursion, although I had actually lost my planets. What I hadn't realised was a colony, they'd bombed my planet and then sent a colony ship in, which I hadn't destroyed in time, and so I'd actually lost the planet. So I had to go back and deal with that. Luckily, even though my Gamma fleet, which had the destructors in it, and those are the planet bombardment ships basically, and we've also got the capital ship, the Volcorus Desolator. That's also a capital ship which is specialized in bombarding planets. Oh, I really, yeah. So sometimes the camera goes a little bit wonky, but It's fine. It's not the end of the world. So once your ship gets in range, it does these beams that sort of laser the planet and do damage to it. Shouldn't be too difficult to take this planet down. There we go. Oh yes, the destructors turned up just in time to laser it from the other side, and then we colonized it almost immediately, and now it's back under our control. Good times. Although they are still continuing to send more ships in. Very ballsy. Things were pretty quiet until the other Advent AI decided to jump in. Kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought I was going to be okay, but no, I was massively outnumbered, and reinforcements, while on their way, were going to turn up too late. Realising this could cost me all 4 of my capital ships at this point, I decided to get the hell out of Dodge. So all of my ships decided to book it. There's the Desolator turning up just in time to give them a few volleys, and then decided to turn around. I like this guy because it reminds me of some of the Klingon ships, which is nice. As you can see, so many missiles. Oh. Yeah, run. We've got 2 Rapture battle cruisers closing in. I'm sending some of the little ships to act as a diversion so my capital ships can get away. But I was like, this is fine. This is not a problem, because while we may lose Novalis, we can flee back to Belagorod, which has heavy defenses here. So we've got pulse guns, we've got phase missile platforms, and we've got regeneration bay. So I was like, that's fine. We can fall back here. It's going to be fine. We've also got 3 nanofactories pumping out ships, so should be all good. I was like, that's not an issue. Fine. You know, yes, bit of a setback, but it's okay. So we're getting out of here, getting out of Dodge. Kind of lost our shields. We don't have too many shields anyway, and our old points are holding for the moment. We'll get out of there, no problem. They won't be able to finish us off before we jump away, and all the capital ships will be safe. Realising we may need to lick our wounds, I decided to begin the construction of a starbase in Belagorod, which is this thing over here. This thing comes packed with weaponry. As you can see, 14 heavy pulse guns, 12 heavy wave cannons, 2 heavy pulse missiles, 2 heavy pulse missiles, 6 heavy beams, and 16-point defense pulse guns, not to mention 6 bombers. You can also upgrade these further, giving them efficient hangars, so that's more bombers, and you can also give them extra defenses, more hull points, all that kind of good stuff. Planetary shield array, so the planet is completely protected until the station is destroyed. Even more hit points. Basically, these things are incredibly tough to crack. Unfortunately, what I hadn't noticed is that while I'd been busy dealing with this stuff, because my planets were converging, a new phase lane had appeared, linking my volcanic world here and Novalis, which I just lost. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of ships here. When I did realise, so I've suddenly realised that I've got a new phase lane, and I've realised that actually that's opened up a backdoor right into my empire from the planet where I know there's a lot of ships. So I decide to take the back route, head towards Federa, and then to Majorca, and then straight on to Leocothea to defend it against any incoming fleets. Luckily, these blue guys decided to head back. I don't know why. They could have pressed the attack. They decided not to. God knows why. Either way, this planet should be fine. We've got the Oculus Starbase coming online very shortly, and there's loads of defences there. So likelihood is any fleet jumps in here, they're going to have a bad time. But we need to race to the defense of my volcanic world here, because there's no defenses here, because I didn't think it would be a problem. Yeah, it is a problem. So we need to get here before the Advent do. Regrettably, I didn't reach it before they did. Luckily, they didn't send too much this way. So while they were bombarding the world, it had enough health to hold on long enough for my fleet to arrive to deal with the threats. They still got quite a lot of ships though, and they did take out my asteroid mining stations, the complete bastards. So they have got the Radiance battleship there, and also the Halcyon carrier. So this guy has, how many bombers? 24 bombers. That's a lot. Fortunately for them, unsupported. So we're piling fire into that carrier, trying to bring it down. Tries to make a run for it, but I'm not going to let it get away. Oh, it's losing health so quickly. It's actually got loads of hit points. Like crippled whole hit points. Jeez. Oh well. Not enough. Not enough to save it. And then the little battle cruiser here gets pummeled. They've lost 2 capital ships. Excellent. Now we just need to mop up these survivors. And then we're going to push in and we're going to retake Novalis. When we arrived in Novalis, we found they were in the process of constructing their own defense station. Their own little star base. Luckily, it was not yet a fully operational battle station. So every single ship targeted the big old space bidet. I'm assuming that's what a bidet looks like. And it's got to be something like that, right? And decided to try and bring it down before it came online. You can see pouring fire into it. It is currently 75% complete. But we've broken through its shield and its armor, and its hit points are now going down. If there was a fleet here to support it, they'd probably be doing a lot better. But we now have 5 capital ships in attendance. Although they are sending one of their motherships in too little too late, and the starbase goes up. That means we can turn our attention on the mothership, and they're also going to die pretty quickly. While that's going on, we are bombarding the Service Novalis, taking it down pretty easily, and we can occupy that now. We just mop up. Well, greater factory there. That's it. Allow ships to build items with no build time penalties. Ah, yeah, that would make sense. Where are you going? Nowhere, that's where. Excellent. We've also managed to pick up some of these ships. These are the biggest of the non-capital ships that we can construct. I love these things. I think they look great. Very, very sinister. So we now hold Novalis. They are continuing to pour ships into the system for some reason. Not 100% sure why. And they will continue to do that. I don't know why that... It might be an AI defect. I'm not actually entirely sure. But they did just keep sent just a steady stream of ships into the system for no particular reason. They really should have waited until they had like a critical mass. But they were just sending them one by one by one by one. Which made it easier for me, I guess. You know, they really, for some reason, wanted to get through this system, but it didn't work very well for them. They didn't have a good time. Just one ship after another. Especially when you got the defense station, starbase there as well. Yeah, you're not going to make that run, mate. Time to go on the offensive. So we were pushed straight into that asteroid, where they had yet another starbase, but I didn't mind because it made the nice noise when it fired, so I'm kind of okay with it. What can I say? I'm just a simp for laser noises. So we pushed in. Almost got one of every capital ship now. So we've got a couple of the Corsair Devastators, your basic battleships, and we've got the Desolator there, which I quite like. Got a carrier, just why not? And the Evacuator there, which we started off with. Fairly one-sided, seeing as there don't seem to be any opposing ships in the vicinity, and our destructors are taking out the asteroid. So I like the fact that on the light side you can kind of see little settlements there, which is really nice. Yeah, target the lights, boys. You see a light, laser it. Where are the enemy fleets right now? Just out of interest. Oh, they're still trying to break through. It's not working very well. We're now pretty heavily defended there. Meanwhile, I think that the blue and reds were busy fighting each other as well. I think the main light blue army was down here, fending off quite a large push from the tech, the blue tech. That is a lot of capital ships. So they're kind of busy with each other. This, oh, it's so good. Look at the explosions. I love it so much. I also like that some of the tech ships have a broadside. So they'll turn to the side to open fire. Yeah, I love that shit. Oh, that's the good stuff. That is the good stuff. So while they're busy over there, I'm going to take out their homeworld. You can see the starbase goes up, the asteroids goes down, and we can colonize it, taking out their Temple of Communion, which is why some of these lines are different colors. It's your culture. If you control the culture of your system, then you get like a mining bonus. In Sins of a Solar Empire 1, I think it used to take control of the planet, but it doesn't do that anymore. I think. Probably. At least I didn't notice it. Okay, with little in the way of threats to slow us down, we just need to go and sort of mop the little cluster up. Although, as you can see, in but an hour, will be a big merged cluster. I do like that. I mean, cluster being the operative word there. We'd arrived at their homeworld, and their fleet was still busy fighting with the tech in the south. So this was going to be a fairly easy mop-up operation as we broke through their orbital structures, headed towards the starbase, which was currently defending the planet with a planetary shield. So, need to take out that starbase before we can do any proper damage to the planet. I think it's got has it got a starbase? Not a starbase. Planetary shield array. If anything damage to the surface. I mean, it still does seem to be taking damage-ish. Maybe. Or not. I'm not 100% sure. Either way. Oh no, it's not taking damage. If anything, it's healing. I think they must have finished an upgrade, and so it was increasing. So basically we need to take out the starbase before we can do any damage to the planet. At which point the planet will be ripe for the taking. And with a very large... well, two very large, three very large. We've got Alpha, Beta, and Gamma fleet there. Gamma fleet's basically my planetary destruction fleet, and then Beta fleet is my front line, and Alpha fleet is sort of my miscellaneous bits. Taking the chunks of what little structures they have. Some Temple of Renewal. I think that's one of their research labs. taking that out. So while that's going on, what else is going on in the system? So we've got the red boys sort of running around over there, not doing very much. That's fine. My allies have actually been fairly successful in taking out the yellow tech. Well done there. Or they're now battling with the blue tech, but still not bad. And it looks like the blue and reds are being pushed together, which means they're about to have a lot of fun. And by fun, I mean they're going to have to kill each other. Space station about to go down, which is going to leave the planet open to attack. Facts, looks like it's taking damage. Is it? Is it? Yes, it is. Okay, it's going down. All sorts of starbase has been destroyed. All my capital ships can join in as well, because they all have bombardment beams. If anything, I probably should have got more of these guys, but it's seen a bit overkill. Down he goes. We move in to target the planet itself and bring it down. The evacuator's actually got an ability called Drain Planet, which gives me metal and crystal, and also deals damage to the planet. It's one of their abilities. It's quite nice. Pretty useful. So that faction is about to be wiped out. However, a fleet has arrived to try and relieve their homeworld. Finally got the message through. Unfortunately, too little, too late. But they are going to be a bit of a problem, so we are going to have to deal with that. And here we go. My fleet has just arrived and looks like the Advent moving in to engage. What have they got? What are these things? Subjugator. What the fuck does that do? Suppression. And also nullify. Remove antimatter from enemy ships. Ugh. Oh, this takes over the ship for 90 seconds. Well, I do not like that. How dare you use your filthy psychic powers on me, you bastards. We do have some of the... Now, these guys here, the Penetrator, they are capital ship killers. However, their range is very short. They like to get right up. Right before they penetrate you, they're going to look you in the eye. So they will do a shit ton of damage, but from very close up, which does make them quite susceptible to being destroyed. But do dish out the pain, and we've already taken out pretty much all their capital ships, and it's just a case of mopping up their little boys. Yeah, they didn't really stand a chance. Look at the swarms of fighters and bombers. Oh, it's so good. The tracer fire going for point defense. Oh, it's just so good. I'm going to push straight in there, laser people directly in the face. Very nice. But yeah, so the missiles do sting quite a bit. It's probably fine. Either way, once we've dealt with this little problem, we can push down, and looks like the reds and the blue are just going at each other. Mostly because, as you can see, their little clusters have now sort of merged together. That's kind of the start, but they are getting closer and closer and closer. So at some points, they're basically all going to be connected, which is a lot of fun. So I think that's kind of focused them to fight each other rather than me, which is great. So just mopping up the last of the little blue boys. There we go. They're having a bad day. Ooh, got so many of these penetrators. I didn't realise I had so many of these penetrators. I do like the noise they make, though, and their beam is particularly sexy. feels good. Penetrators feel good. Finally decided to throw everything I had against the red Advent player. Now, this worked out quite well for us because for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, some of their guys just decided to stop moving, which meant that I could pretty easily deal with their capital ships that decided to lead the charge and not have to worry about everyone else who was just sort of chilling. I don't know if all of it, do these guys actually have weapons or that? No, they do. I mean, they've got like missiles. I don't know why they were being so hesitant. Wasn't a huge problem. The fleet I had amassed was basically enough to overrun them regardless. Not to mention that I had a little help incoming from behind, which was this bad boy, which was my Titan. You don't really get a sense of the size of this thing until it's up against another ship. But just like a capital ship, it comes with abilities. This guy has a micro phase jump, so he can sort of jump around a gravity well. So yeah, so there's a Corsair Devastator, and that's that thing. As you can see, he's a big boy. So he can jump around. He can also, he has an ability where he kind of like draws everything in front of him and eats it, and gets resources for that, which is quite fun. He also just has splash damage. Why not? And he can also create a temporary phase lane between two gravity wells. Now, I'm not entirely sure of the range on that, but that does sound pretty fucking amazing, to be honest. Plus, when this thing opens fire, there we go. It looks amazing and it feels great, and I basically did orgasm. While we're waiting for the Titan to arrive, not that we need it to arrive, of course, because let's face it, this battle's over. But you know what? You know what I want? My big boy. Oh, my big boy. And here he comes. Kadoosh. So he does come equipped with 12-point defense guns, 4 heavy beams, 12 heavy wave cannons, and 2 heavy phase missiles, putting out a huge amount of damage. Not to mention all of his abilities and stuff. Like, this thing, he wrecks face. So moving in to take out their starbase. Just remove that as a problem for us. The battle, the gravity well littered with the corpses of enemy ships. They put up a spirited defense, but unfortunately for the red player, they and the blue player are now just duking it out, which means they've got very little to stop me with. Oh yeah, that's it. That's it. There we go. And then the missiles. Oh, I love it so much. It's so good. As with all the capital ships, you can upgrade this bad boy. You can give him more hull plating, because, you know, I guess having 14,500 hull points isn't enough. Do that, why don't you? You can upgrade his beams to make them do more damage. You can... Oh, there's so much stuff you can do with this. It's great. I mean, once I had my Titan on the field, this game was basically over, to be honest. But it is... Oh, it's so good. It feels so good. It feels so good. At this point, basically, my ally had managed to take out the yellow player, and the red player was busy fighting the blue player. I was coming and taking them from behind. Basically, it was all over. I mean, it's just great. And each sub-faction has their own Titan as well, with different abilities. So they're completely unique per sub-faction, which is really, really cool. Although I will say, I do love this one's ability to just, like, nom ships. If you can find a big clump of little ships and then just, like, jump on top of them and then eat them. Yeah. Yeah. Feels good. I just like them. I like the noises. I like the big explosions. This game just is flipping great. So there we go. Sins of a Solar Empire 2. Big explosions and space battles. If that's your kind of jam, if that's your vibe, it's definitely my vibe. This game is definitely worth a look. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.